the top 5 most common roofing related findings on home inspections in East Tennessee, Knoxville area. Let's dive in and get going. All right, hey, what's up? It's me, Haley Jones, your local Knoxville and East Tennessee real estate agent. I make a lot of videos, but I actually do sell a lot of houses. So if you need me, call me. But that being said, today we are talking about home inspections specifically related to roofing. What are the top 5 roofing findings on home inspections? Now, here's the method for those of you that want the methodology. Me and my amazing assistant, we analyze 152 home inspections. Of the 152, there were 421 line items related to roofing, okay? So what we did is then take those 421 and summarize what are the 5 most common things that came up out of the 421 findings. Now, this is a sample. This is meant to be a sample size. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm saying this isn't obviously every home inspection report. We're basing this off of the 152 home inspections we analyzed. What was most common when it comes to roof? Got it? Now, this is the other thing I want to tell you. I'm not an inspector. I'm not a contractor. I don't know how to install a roof. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a roofer. So these are me speaking as a real estate agent. So yes, I see these reports. I advise my clients through them. When we need a second opinion, we get a roofer to come out. We get a roofer to give a quote. Sometimes we have 3 roofers come out. Sometimes if we're on the sell side, the buy side has a roofer. Sometimes if we're on the buy side, the seller has a roofer come out. It just depends, okay? So just bear that in mind. The other thing I want to tell you is that if you are a potential seller, these would be things to inform maybe that you get checked out before you list your home for sale so you can avoid a problem. Just an idea, okay? It could come back that you need a completely new roof, and in which case you probably want to do that before you list it for sale, or acknowledge that you got a report that says the roof is old, okay? So disclose. If you're a buyer, this is more like, hey, what's happening with the roofs? What might I expect? What's common? Because a lot of times, especially with people who aren't as familiar with how homes work or how roofs work or whatever, sometimes you get these reports back and it's like, oh my God, this is awful. And actually it's not that big of a deal. And sometimes it's a huge deal. So this is just kind of inform you as a buyer what you might expect to see. And again, these are most common, like anything could happen, okay? Okay, so number 1 finding, downspouts emptying at the foundation and or drainage issues. This was the most repeated category by far. Downspouts at the foundation, that's where it's like the downspout from the gutter, downspout from the roof comes directly down to the foundation. So a lot of times you might see guttering that goes out to the yard, or maybe the gutters are buried, that downspout's buried, and it's routing that water away. We see oftentimes that the gutter is just right at the corner of the house. So this is bad long term. It's not great for your foundation. So this includes the downspouts emptying, missing downspout extension. So like I said, sometimes you'll see a corrugated pipe. Sometimes you'll see a downspout extension out. Sometimes it's just that little tray thing. Panel thing, you know what I'm talking about? Gutters overflowing. That was another one. Standing water in gutters and underground drain lines are questionable or not draining. So sometimes you'll see where a downspout is like buried, and sometimes the inspector will say, I don't know where that's emptying. Now sometimes on new construction they have it so it goes to this like the sewer line, like it's buried, and you would never see that, right? Sometimes you can see, if you look like down the yard, you can see like there's a broken piece of gutter sticking up out of the yard. So it's away from the foundation, but you got like plastic out there, okay? This showed up over 100 times and making it the number 1 recurring roof-related defect. Now notice, that's not even talking about the physical roof. That's talking a part of the roof system, right? Because the roof covers the house, and then it makes sure the rain doesn't come in, and the gutters and downspouts route the rain away from your foundation. So it's part of that roofing system. Okay, number 2, gutters with debris and or not draining properly. Now, both of these so far are related to water. What is happening with water? Water, we love it, but it can be harmful, right? So gutters with debris not draining properly. This includes gutters full of debris. So think leaves. I've seen like twigs and trees growing out of gutters. Gutters sagging or holding water. See this all the time. If they're holding water, they're not draining properly. It's added weight onto that gutter system. Not good. Eventually, that's going to give way. Gutters leaking at the seams. Gutter shouldn't be leaking at the seams, so you shouldn't see a gutter where there's water coming out right here, right? That seam. Not what it's supposed to be doing. That's also then draining along the side of the house. Not ideal. Okay? Not ideal. Improper slope. So that could either be like they're too sloped, or they're anything. They're maybe sloped to the house. Overflow leading to erosion. So basically the gutters are not able to properly perform. If they're leaking, they're emptying straight down to the foundation, just along the side of the house. If they can't drain, eventually that's gonna rip off the side of the house, or it's just not doing its job right. That's too much weight on that system. So this happened dozens of times out of our 152 inspection reports, and our 421 findings were related to gutters not properly functioning. So I want to be clear here that this doesn't necessarily mean you need gutter guard, because you still have to maintain that, okay? Even if you get gutter guard and stuff piles up on the gutter, that's not right either, okay? So, that could be a solution, but, you want your gutters to be properly draining the water like they're supposed to do. So as a seller, you want to check it, clean out your gutters. You could literally just clean out your gutters before a home inspection. Easy. If you got stuff growing out of your gutters, newsflash, fix it. I'm just thinking through all of the transactions that I've done on the buy side. I don't know that I've had a buyer ever ask for a gutter related issue, except when there was an actual tree growing through the gutter and it was completely backed up. And I maybe had a couple that have asked for the gutters to be cleaned. Next up, number 3, vent boots have improper fastening, or they have exposed nails. What is a vent boot? Okay, you might have, for example, if you look at a roof, you're gonna see some sort of PVC looking thing sticking out of the roof, probably, okay? And then that has a boot. It has a bottom to it. And sometimes the fasteners, so the nails that hold that thing down, they are not caulked, so they are exposed, which means they're going to rust, which also means they shouldn't be exposed. They're going to rust, but also that's going to be an entry point onto that hole, right? Because it's causing a hole in the roof because it's a fastener. So you do not want that. You also don't want missing fasteners. In other words, that's meaning it's going to flop around, flop open. Sometimes you'll see these where it's the pipe is here and then the vent boot is all willy-nilly. It's not connected to the roof. So vent boots improperly installed. So either not correctly laid with the shingles, no fasteners, or the fasteners are loose so that thing's up there moving around. Exposed nails on boots. Boots cut too large, so it's not the appropriate size. Cracked or damaged vent boots, so that would be if this was the bottom of the boot and it's just cracked and ripped and it's exposing what's below. Raised boot collars, this similar kind of situation. Water is going to get down in there. This showed up often, over 50 times on our 421 findings. I see this constantly. Vent boots not properly installed, exposed fasteners, so whatever's holding it down is exposed, it needs to be caulked, etc. So that's number 3. Number 4. How this is number 4 is shocking to me. Because to me, I would be this is the number 1 thing that you find on a roof. This is the number 1 thing an inspector finds. Uncaulked or exposed nails on the roof. At the ridge vents, so that's the top. You'll see the shingles, how they're gonna go like this over the ridge vent. All of that. Uncaulked or exposed nails on the roof at the ridge vents, the shingles, and or any other penetration spot. So this kind of goes in line with the vent boots on a roof. But basically this is essentially that they are exposed, they're uncaulked, they should be caulked, because that is an entry point for water, which you don't want. And also they will rust and they will wear out. When you think about a metal roof, everyone thinks, oh, a metal roof is indestructible, but also it's got a bunch of fasteners. And eventually those washers under those fasteners on that metal roof, they deteriorate, which means now you've got exposure for water underneath that screw, or I don't know if it's a screw or a nail. Okay, so this is what I'm telling you. I'm not a roofer, I'm not a contractor. The point is there's exposure, water can get in, it's not good. Okay. Uncaulked nails on enrichments, exposed fasteners on roof penetration flashings. Basically at any point where stuff is exposed, it should not be exposed to the elements, period, because that's going to cause a problem. Some water intrusion. Have you heard of it? Visible repairs with exposed nails. So you'll also see this where it's like the repair has been made. The nail should not be exposed because the nail is an entry point through the shingle. That's the whole point. The nail is a hole. It's keeping the shingles on, but also if it's exposed, water can get in. Water can go through there, which is what we don't want. Okay. Number 5, we made it to number 5. How do you feel? Missing or improper drip edge. Now, again, I'm not a contractor, so some of y'all feel free to make fun of me because you're gonna be like, hell, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is what it is, okay? If this is the edge of my roof, then there's like this edge right here. Sometimes you'll see like a piece of exposed plywood right here. This plywood under here, it should not be exposed. There should be no exposure. The strip edge is either there's nothing, so you see the plywood, or this sheet of the plywood underneath. I forget what it's called. It's not technically called plywood. It's the sheet of wood underneath the shingle, okay? I know I sound like an idiot, okay? But that being said, this is exposed. It should not be exposed. So what this is saying, and you actually even see this in new construction, which, word to the wise, is why you want to have a home inspection when you purchase new construction, because they will fix it. If the drip edge is not properly done, they will fix it. But if you get in the house after a year and that 1-year builder warranty is gone, wah, wah, like, no, you should have had it fixed. You should have had it looked. That's a strong should. Okay, I'm sounding very judgmental, but I'm just telling you, having a home inspection on a new construction house is always a good idea. Okay, so this includes missing drip edge. Drip edges are detached. Drip edges are damaged. Drip edge missing along the rake or even multiple areas. So this could be in separate places where it's missing. Maybe it's in some places, not in others. This was, again, mentioned repeatedly across reports and is in our top 5. That being said, here are some honorable mentions, not top 5, but happened a lot in these 421 line items on the 150 home inspection reports. Roofing nearing end of service life. So what an inspector is saying is things like granular loss. So you just see, instead of you seeing grain on the shingle, there's like, it's just a smooth, it doesn't have that grain anymore. A delamination or loose shingles. So those would be indications of a roof ending or coming to the end of its service life. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have the roof replaced. When you see that finding, it is advisable that possibly maybe you go call a roofer and have a roofer come and assess how many more years do you have on this roof based on that finding. So this is the kind of thing where once we get this report, if we need to have someone else who specializes in that area, in this case, a roofer, go look at it. A roofer's gonna go look at it and tell you, hey, you do need a new roof. And maybe you have 2 or 3. Maybe you have them all give you a quote. We cross that bridge when we get there. Next up on the honorable mentions related to roofing is chimney defects, cracked crown, improper flashing, and dislocated chimney. Cracked crown of a chimney we see all the time. Okay, why is that a problem? Water intrusion. Yes, you're right. We don't need water coming down the cracks of the chimney. That's not gonna work well long term, okay? Moss and algae on shingles, which isn't necessarily like crazy, depending on the overall condition of the roof. Again, I'm not a contractor. I probably shouldn't have even made that assessment, but we see that quite often. So that's just something to note. As a seller, if you have that on your roof, get your roof cleaned, like easy. Loose shingles, damaged shingles, we see that a lot. I've actually had one where a roof was replaced and the entire back side, like it was a very high roof, was just, the shingles were completely missing. And the sellers had no idea because they had just replaced the roof before they put the house on the market, and it was missing shingles. So the roofing company had to come back out and finish that. Okay, improper style or roof covering on low sloped areas. Like for example, sometimes you see like a metal roof with no slope on the top of a patio, and it's just trapping water. Like there's nowhere for this water to go because there is literally no slope. It's just standing there. So improper style or improper slope, that doesn't actually do what it needs to do because it's holding the water there. So anyways, those are your top 5 most common roof findings across 150, a sample size of 152 home inspection reports, roofing. The common theme here is line items that are going to allow water intrusion. You wear a raincoat so you don't get wet, right? You put your waterproof, you want waterproof, right? Especially if you're going to a torrential downpour, you want waterproof. You don't want water resistant. And that's the same with a roof. All the things roof related, no water intrusion. And then also, a roof is required for homeowners insurance. Your gutters, also almost always required. There are all special cases where I've seen an appraiser say, oh, it's fine, but you probably need gutters, okay? And both of those are meant to protect your home from water intrusion, both at the top and around the sides. So those are your top 5 most common roof findings from home inspections in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area. Again, these are 152 reports. The roofing sections had 421 total findings, and these were all homes in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area. So that being said, I hope this has been helpful. If you need a real estate agent, please give me a call, text me, email me. Don't send me a pigeon because I won't get it, but you can send me a text or you can email me. I'd love to chat to you. You can always also click subscribe. I will be going through home inspection findings for the exterior, for the interior, for the HVAC, all the things. So go check out those videos because it will help you be informed whether you are a buyer or a seller. Either way, would love to talk with you about your real estate needs in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area. And of course, click subscribe because I obviously love to talk and I would love to tell you so many more things. I'll see you on the next video.